The shy intern used sign language to greet a visitor. Without realizing, he was the son of the most feared CEO in the country. Before we begin, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Ana Martinez smoothed down her slightly wrinkled blouse for the 5th time that morning, tucking a loose strand of dark hair behind her ear as she scanned the bustling lobby of Blackwood Enterprises. 6 weeks into her internship at one of America's most prestigious corporations, and she still felt like an imposter every time she walked through those imposing glass doors. Another day of being invisible, she whispered to herself, adjusting her glasses and clutching her tablet to her chest like a shield. At 23, Ana was the oldest intern in the summer program, having taken a few years off after high school to care for her grandmother. Now, while her peers were graduating with their business degrees, she was just beginning her junior year, determined to make up for lost time. Landing this internship had been a miracle, one she feared losing daily. The elevator dinged, and Ana stepped back instinctively, allowing the stream of executives in their immaculate suits to exit first. She had mastered the art of taking up as little space as possible, a talent that served her well in the cutthroat environment of Blackwood, where ambition was currency and boldness was rewarded. "Did you hear?" The excited whisper came from Zoe, another intern who somehow managed to look like she'd stepped off a runway despite the company's conservative dress code. "Richard Blackwood is in the building today." Ana's stomach tightened. Everyone knew the name Richard Blackwood, the notoriously ruthless CEO who had transformed his father's modest company into a global powerhouse through sheer force of will and a reputation for absolute perfection. The man was a legend and a terror. "Really?" Ana swallowed hard. "I thought he was in Tokyo until next week." "Emergency board meeting," Zoe replied, her perfectly glossed lips curving into a smile. "And rumor has it his son might be making an appearance too." The elevator doors opened, and Ana stepped in, pressing the button for the 14th floor. "I didn't know he had a son." "No one really knows anything about him," Zoe shrugged, tapping away at her phone. "Super private. I heard he went to school abroad or something, but apparently he's been seen around the building lately." Ana nodded, feeling the familiar anxiety build in her chest. One more person to avoid. One more important figure who could end her internship with a single word if she made a mistake. When they reached their floor, Ana hurried to her small desk in the corner of the marketing department. Her supervisor, Marcus, had already emailed the day's tasks, mostly data entry and preparing slides for a presentation later that week. Nothing exciting, but Ana was grateful for the predictability. 3 hours later, her back aching from hunching over spreadsheets, Ana decided to brave the cafe on the ground floor for lunch. The company cafeteria was always a minefield of office politics, with carefully delineated seating hierarchies that she was still learning to navigate. As she waited for the elevator, Ana rehearsed her order in her mind. A simple salad, maybe a cup of soup. Quick, efficient, no room for error. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped inside, only to find herself alone with a young man she'd never seen before. Tall, with sandy brown hair that fell slightly over his forehead, he wore a casual button-down shirt and jeans, strikingly underdressed for Blackwood's formal environment. Ina pressed the button for the lobby and shifted to the corner, dropping her gaze to the floor as she always did. But something made her look up again. The man was moving his hands in a familiar pattern. He was on a video call, his phone propped against the elevator wall, signing rapidly to someone on the other end. Ana's heart skipped. American Sign Language. Her grandmother had lost her hearing in her final years, and Ana had learned ASL to communicate with her. It was a language she rarely got to use anymore, but one that had become a part of her. The man seemed frustrated, his signing becoming more emphatic. From what Ana could catch, he was telling the person that he would be late, that something had come up. When the call ended, he sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. The elevator stopped at the 10th floor, but no one entered. Anna hesitated, then did something completely out of character. She signed, "Bad day?" The surprise on the man's face was instant. His eyebrows shot up, and a smile transformed his features. He signed back, "You know ASL?" "My grandmother was deaf," Anna replied with her hands, the familiar movements coming back easily. "I learned for her." "That's amazing," he signed, his movements fluid and natural. "Most people here just stare at me awkwardly when I sign." Anna smiled, feeling a rare moment of confidence. "Are you visiting someone in the building?" "It would be something like that," he signed, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I'm Daniel." "Anna," she replied, finger-spelling her name. The elevator reached the lobby, and Daniel gestured for her to exit first. As they stepped out, he signed, "Would you mind showing me to the cafe? I'm still learning my way around." Anna nodded, surprised at her own willingness to help. There was something about communicating in sign that bypassed her usual shyness, perhaps because it felt like a private conversation in a public space. They crossed the marble-floored lobby, Anna acutely aware of the curious glances thrown their way as their hands moved in animated conversation. Daniel asked her about her role at Blackwood, and Anna explained she was an intern in marketing. "What about you?" she signed. "Do you work here too?" A strange expression flickered across his face before he replied, "I'm consulting on a project. Short term." They reached the cafe, joining the line of employees waiting to order. Anna noticed Daniel studying the menu board with intensity. "Recommendations," he signed. "The chicken avocado wrap is good," she replied. "And their iced tea is actually decent." When they reached the counter, Anna ordered her salad, then turned to Daniel, expecting him to sign his order to her so she could interpret. Instead, to her surprise, he spoke aloud. "I'll have the chicken avocado wrap and an iced tea," he said, his voice clear and perfectly articulated. Anna blinked in confusion. Before she could stop herself, she blurted out, "You can speak." The moment the words left her mouth, she wanted to disappear. A crimson flush spread across her cheeks as several heads turned in their direction. Daniel smiled, a hint of amusement in his eyes. "I'm not deaf," he said gently. "My sister is." The mortification was instant and complete. Anna felt as if the floor might mercifully open up and swallow her whole. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, switching back to speaking. "I just assumed when I saw you signing in the elevator." "It's okay," Daniel laughed, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Honest mistake, and hey, it's not every day I meet someone who can sign as well as you do." Anna wished she could melt into the polished floor tiles. "I should have asked. That was incredibly presumptuous of me." "Actually, I found it refreshing," Daniel said, paying for both their lunches despite her protests. "Most people here are too intimidated to speak to me at all." As they collected their food, Anna wondered why people would be intimidated by him. He seemed approachable and kind, nothing like the sharks that usually swam through Blackwood's corporate waters. They found a small table by the window, and Anna reluctantly sat down, still mortified by her mistake, but unable to find a polite way to escape. "So," Daniel said, unwrapping his sandwich, "how long have you been at Blackwood?" 6 weeks, Anna replied, picking at her salad. "It's a 3-month internship. And do you like it?" Anna considered her answer carefully. "It's, a great opportunity." Daniel smiled knowingly. "That's not the same as liking it." "Well, it's Blackwood," she said, as if that explained everything. "Everyone wants to work here. Because of the prestige or because of the work itself?" The question caught her off guard. No one had asked her that before. "I guess I never really thought about it that way. The internship looks good on a resume, and if I'm lucky, it could turn into a job offer." "But is that what you want?" Daniel pressed, leaning forward slightly. "A job here?" Anna felt strangely exposed under his gaze, as if he could see past her carefully constructed professional facade. "What I want is to finish my degree without drowning in student loans. What I want is to make my grandmother proud. What I want—" She trailed off, surprised at her own candor. "I'm sorry, that was unprofessional." "I didn't ask for professional," Daniel said softly. "I asked for honest." Before Anna could respond, a commotion near the cafe entrance caught their attention. A group of executives had entered, their voices rising above the usual lunch chatter. At their center was a tall, imposing figure with steel-grey hair and a bespoke suit that screamed authority. Anna froze. "That's Richard Blackwood," she whispered, instinctively shrinking in her seat. Daniel followed her gaze, his expression unreadable. "Yes, it is." "I should go," Anna said, gathering her things hurriedly. "My lunch break is almost over, and I have a lot of work to finish." "Of course," Daniel nodded, but his eyes remained on the CEO. "It was nice meeting you, Anna." "You too," she replied, already backing away. "And sorry again about the misunderstanding." Daniel looked back at her, his smile returning. "Don't be. It was the highlight of my day." As Anna hurried toward the exit, taking a path that would keep her as far from Richard Blackwood as possible, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something important about her encounter with Daniel. Back at her desk, she tried to focus on her tasks, but her mind kept returning to the conversation in the cafe. There was something oddly familiar about Daniel, though she was certain they had never met before. Perhaps it was just the ease of their interaction, the way signing had created an instant connection between them. At 5:30, as Anna was preparing to leave, Marcus stopped by her desk. "How's the Henderson presentation coming?" he asked, scrolling through his phone as he spoke. "Almost finished," Anna replied. "I just need to add the third-quarter projections." "Good," Marcus nodded distractedly. "I need you here early tomorrow, 8 sharp. The executive team has requested a complete overview of our summer campaign, and we'll need all hands on deck." Anna's stomach dropped. The executive team, as in Richard Blackwood. "Among others," Marcus confirmed. "Apparently the CEO's son is taking a more active role in the company, and they're reviewing all departments." "His son?" Anna repeated, a strange suspicion forming in her mind. "Daniel Blackwood," Marcus said, finally looking up from his phone. "Been overseas for years, but word is he's being groomed to take over eventually. Keep that to yourself, though." Anna felt the blood drain from her face as realization dawned. Daniel Blackwood, the man she'd mistaken for deaf, the man she'd shared lunch with, the man she'd rambled to about her personal motivations, was the son of the most powerful person in the company. "Anna, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," she managed, though her voice sounded distant to her own ears. "Just tired. I'll be here at 8 tomorrow." As Marcus walked away, Anna sank into her chair, replaying every moment of her interaction with Daniel Blackwood. Every awkward comment, every presumptuous assumption. Her phone buzzed with a text from Zoe. "Did you hear? Daniel Blackwood is in the building. Everyone says he's nothing like his father. Supposedly super nice." Anna stared at the message, then slowly typed her reply. "Yeah, I heard." What she didn't add was that she had not only met him, but had also made a complete fool of herself in the process. And tomorrow she would have to face him again, this time knowing exactly who he was. Anna gathered her things, her mind racing with all the ways her career at Blackwood could end before it had truly begun. As she rode the elevator down to the lobby, she made a silent vow. Tomorrow she would be invisible again. No more impulsive conversations, no more signing to strangers, no more being anything but the perfect, quiet intern. But as the doors opened on the ground floor, she couldn't help wondering if Daniel Blackwood had been laughing at her all along, or if their connection, however brief, had been genuine. Either way, she had a feeling her days of flying under the radar at Blackwood Enterprises were over. Anna arrived at work the next morning at precisely 7:30, her hands clutching a cardboard tray with 4 coffees, 1 for herself and 3 for the senior members of the marketing team. It wasn't part of her job description to fetch coffee, but she hoped the gesture might earn her some goodwill for the executive presentation. Or at least, she thought grimly, ensure they remembered her for something other than making a fool of herself in front of the CEO's son. She had barely slept, replaying her conversation with Daniel Blackwood over and over. Each time, her embarrassment deepened. How could she have been so clueless, so forward? The signs had been there. The way people looked at him, his casual comment about others being intimidated by him, his evasive answer about his role at the company. The office was still mostly empty when she reached the 14th floor. Anna placed the coffees on her colleagues' desks, then retreated to her own corner to review the presentation one final time. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through the slides, checking for any errors that might draw attention to her. By 8:15, the marketing department had transformed from a peaceful haven into a hive of nervous energy. Marcus paced between desks, barking last-minute instructions. Two senior executives Anna had never spoken to materialized from the elevators, trailing assistants who furiously took notes on tablets. "Conference room 3, people," Marcus announced, clapping his hands. "They're running 15 minutes behind, so we have a small reprieve. Use it wisely." Anna gathered her materials, falling into step behind Zoe, who was practically vibrating with excitement. "I can't believe we're presenting to Richard Blackwood," Zoe whispered. "And Daniel, have you seen him yet? Kelly from accounting said he's gorgeous." "I've seen him," Anna replied quietly, her eyes fixed on the floor ahead. Zoe stopped abruptly, causing Anna to nearly collide with her. "Wait, you've seen him? When? Where? Why didn't you tell me?" "It wasn't important," Anna said, trying to move past her. "We just happened to be in the same elevator." It wasn't exactly a lie, but the omission made Anna's chest tighten. She had never been good at deception, even by omission. Her grandmother had always said Anna's face was an open book, every thought and feeling written clearly for anyone who cared to look. "And?" Zoe pressed, blocking Anna's path. "Details, Martinez." Anna sighed. "And nothing. He seemed nice. Now can we please go before Marcus has a coronary?" The conference room was intimidatingly large, with a sleek oval table that could seat 20 and floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of downtown. Anna took a seat at the far end, as far from the head of the table as possible, and arranged her notes meticulously. At 8:35, the room fell silent as Richard Blackwood strode in, followed by 3 executives, and, Anna's heart sank, Daniel. Today, Daniel wore a tailored charcoal suit that transformed him from the casual, approachable man she'd met into someone who unmistakably belonged in the Blackwood hierarchy. Anna kept her eyes down as introductions were made, focusing intently on her notepad as if it contained the secrets of the universe. But when Marcus began to delegate parts of the presentation, her worst fear materialized. "Anna will walk us through the social media metrics for the summer campaign," Marcus said, gesturing toward her. "She's been analyzing the engagement data and has some interesting insights to share." All eyes turned to her, including a pair of hazel ones that she could feel like a physical touch. Anna swallowed hard and stood, moving to the front of the room, on legs that felt like they might give way at any moment. "Good morning," she began, her voice barely audible. She cleared her throat and tried again. The summer campaign launched across 5 platforms with targeted content for each demographic. As Anna spoke, her confidence gradually returned. This, at least, was familiar territory. She knew these numbers, understood the trends they revealed. When she clicked to a slide showing an unexpected spike in engagement among older users, she even managed to make a small joke about the content transcending the generational divide. A few chuckles rippled through the room, and Anna dared to lift her gaze from her notes. Her eyes met Daniel's, and to her surprise, he was watching her with what looked like genuine interest, his head tilted slightly, as if trying to reconcile this composed presenter with the flustered woman from yesterday. When she finished her portion, Richard Blackwood himself asked a pointed question about conversion rates. Anna answered clearly, citing specific data points that supported her analysis. The CEO nodded once, the closest thing to approval anyone had received all morning, before turning his attention to the next presenter. As Anna returned to her seat, she caught Daniel signing subtly to her. "Well done." The gesture was so unexpected, so discreet, that for a moment Anna thought she'd imagined it. But when she risked another glance in his direction, Daniel was smiling faintly, his eyes still on her. The meeting continued for another 40 minutes, during which Anna concentrated on appearing attentive while her mind raced. Why had Daniel signed to her? Was he mocking her mistake, or was it a genuine attempt at connection? When Richard Blackwood finally stood to signal the end of the meeting, everyone scrambled to their feet. The CEO departed without ceremony, leaving a wake of relieved exhales behind him. Anna gathered her materials quickly, intent on escaping before having to interact with Daniel. But as she reached the door, Marcus intercepted her. "Anna, hold up," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Daniel Blackwood wants a word." Anna felt the blood drain from her face. "About what?" Marcus shrugged. "Didn't say. But when a Blackwood asks for something, you don't question it. He's waiting in the small conference room down the hall." With leaden feet, Anna made her way to the designated room, rehearsing professional responses to what she assumed would be an uncomfortable conversation. Perhaps Daniel wanted to clear the air about yesterday. Or worse, maybe he was offended by her assumption and wanted to address it formally. The door to the conference room was ajar. Anna knocked softly, then pushed it open to find Daniel standing by the window, hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the city below. "You wanted to see me?" Anna said, proud that her voice remained steady. Daniel turned, a smile warming his features. "Anna, yes, thank you for coming." He gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." Anna perched on the edge of the seat, her posture rigid. "If this is about yesterday, I want to apologize again for my assumption. It was completely inappropriate, and I understand if you felt—" Daniel held up a hand, cutting her off. "That's not why I asked to speak with you." "It's not?" Anna blinked in surprise. "No," Daniel said, taking the seat across from her, "though I admit I probably should have been more forthcoming about who I was." "You had no obligation to tell a random intern your life story," Anna said. Daniel's smile widened. "Is that how you see yourself, a random intern?" The question caught her off guard. "Well, yes, that's what I am. From what I saw in that presentation, you're considerably more than that," Daniel said. "Your analysis was insightful. You understood not just the numbers, but the people behind them." Anna felt a flush creep up her neck at the unexpected praise. "Thank you, but I was just doing my job. Which brings me to why I wanted to speak with you," Daniel continued. "I'm putting together a special project team, small, agile, focused on reaching new demographics through innovative approaches. Your perspective would be valuable." Anna stared at him, certain she had misheard. "You want me on a special project team?" "Yes," Daniel nodded. "It would be in addition to your regular internship duties, so I understand if you're not interested." "I'm interested," Anna said quickly, before common sense could intervene. An opportunity to work on a project led by a Blackwood? It was unheard of for an intern. "Good," Daniel smiled. "We'll be meeting 3 times a week starting tomorrow, 9 a.m., 20th floor, suite 203. Anna nodded, making a mental note. "May I ask what the project entails?" Daniel leaned forward slightly, his expression animated. "Blackwood has traditionally catered to a very specific clientele. Conservative, established, risk-averse. But my father—" He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "The company recognizes the need to evolve. This project is about reaching communities we've historically overlooked." "Including the deaf community?" Anna guessed, the pieces suddenly falling into place. Daniel's eyes lit up. "Among others, yes. My sister Emma has been advocating for more inclusive marketing for years. When I agreed to return to the company, making that happen was one of my conditions." Anna felt a flicker of admiration. So he had been using his position to advance a cause he cared about personally. "That's actually really cool." Daniel laughed, the sound warm and genuine. Don't sound so surprised. Not everyone at Blackwood is a soulless corporate drone. I didn't mean... Anna began, flustered. I'm teasing you, Daniel said gently. I know the reputation this company has. It's not entirely undeserved. He stood, signaling the end of their meeting. I should let you get back to work, but I'm looking forward to having you on the team, Anna. Anna rose, still processing what had just happened. As she reached for the door handle, a thought occurred to her. Can I ask you something? Of course. During the presentation, you signed to me. Why? Daniel's expression softened. Because for a brief moment yesterday, when we were signing, you seemed completely at ease. I thought maybe it would help with your nerves today. The simple thoughtfulness of the gesture left Anna momentarily speechless. Thank you, she finally managed. See you tomorrow, Anna, Daniel said, turning back to the window. See you tomorrow, she echoed, stepping into the hallway with her mind whirling. Back at her desk, Anna tried to focus on her regular tasks, but her thoughts kept drifting to the unexpected turn of events. A special project with Daniel Blackwood. Access to the 20th floor, executive territory. It was an opportunity that could transform her internship, maybe even her career. So why did it make her so nervous? Spill, now! Zoe materialized beside Anna's desk, her eyes wide with curiosity. What did Daniel Blackwood want with you? Anna hesitated. The project didn't seem to be confidential, but she was wary of drawing attention to herself. He's putting together a team for a marketing initiative, asked if I'd participate. Zoe's jaw dropped. Are you serious? Daniel Blackwood personally asked you to join his team. Anna, do you have any idea how huge that is? I think I'm getting the picture, Anna said, glancing around nervously as Zoe's voice rose with excitement. How did this happen? Did you make an impression in the meeting? Did someone recommend you? Zoe leaned closer, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Or is there something you're not telling me about that elevator ride? Nothing happened in the elevator, Anna insisted, though technically something had happened, just not what Zoe was implying. I guess he liked my analysis of the social media metrics. Zoe looked skeptical. Uh-huh. Well, whatever the reason, you'd better not screw this up. This is the kind of opportunity people kill for. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Anna muttered. As Zoe sauntered away, Anna's phone buzzed with an email notification. The sender was Daniel Blackwood, the subject line simply Project Brief. She opened it with trepidation, half expecting to find that he'd changed his mind. Instead, she found a detailed outline of the project, complete with objectives, timeline, and a list of team members. There were 6 names total, including hers and Daniel's. The others were unfamiliar, though their titles indicated they were all mid-level managers or specialists. Anna was the only intern on the list. The email concluded with a personal note. Looking forward to your perspective on this, Anna. Your experience with ASL brings a unique insight that will be valuable to our discussions. Daniel. Anna read the note 3 times, a strange warmth spreading through her chest. For the first time since starting at Blackwood, she felt seen, not as an anonymous intern or a potential future asset to the company, but as a person with unique experiences and insights to offer. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Anna stayed late, determined to get ahead on her regular work, so the special project wouldn't affect her performance. By the time she left, the office was nearly deserted, the cleaning crew making their rounds in the dimly lit space. As Anna waited for the elevator, she caught her reflection in the polished doors. She looked the same as always, dark hair pulled back in a practical bun, sensible glasses, conservative blouse and skirt, and yet something felt different. A subtle shift in her posture, perhaps, or a new determination in her eyes. The elevator arrived with a soft ding, and as the doors opened, Anna found herself face to face with Richard Blackwood. Her first instinct was to step back, to wait for the next elevator, but it was too late. The CEO had already seen her, his piercing gaze fixing on her with unnerving intensity. "Going down?" he asked, his deep voice betraying no emotion. Anna nodded, unable to find her voice, and stepped into the elevator. She pressed herself against the far wall, trying to become as small as possible. Richard Blackwood stood with his back straight, eyes forward, emanating an aura of authority that filled the small space. After what felt like an eternity of silence, he spoke again. "You're on my son's new project team." It wasn't a question, but Anna felt compelled to answer. "Yes, sir." "Interesting choice," Richard said, his gaze still fixed on the elevator doors. "He seems to see something in you." Anna had no idea how to respond to that, so she remained silent. "My son has many admirable qualities," Richard continued, as if talking to himself rather than her. "Compassion, creativity, vision. But he lacks practical experience. Reality often fails to align with ideals." The elevator reached the lobby and Richard stepped forward as the doors opened. Before exiting, he turned to Anna, his expression unreadable. "I hope you prove to be a wise investment of his trust, Ms. Martinez." Anna stood frozen as the CEO walked away, his words echoing in her mind. How did he know her name? And what had he meant by that final comment? Was it a warning? A threat? As she finally stepped out of the elevator, Anna realized her hands were shaking. Whatever she had gotten herself into by accepting Daniel's offer, it was clearly more complicated than she had initially thought. The night air was cool against her flushed skin as she walked to the subway station. Anna replayed the day's events, from her surprisingly successful presentation to her conversations with both Blackwood men. Father and son couldn't have been more different, one cold and intimidating, the other warm and engaging. Yet there was something similar in their intensity, in the focused attention they brought to their interactions. Anna's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Just heard from Emma. She's excited about the project, and especially about meeting you. Don't worry, I only told her good things. See you tomorrow. Daniel." Anna stared at the message, wondering how Daniel had gotten her number, before remembering it was probably listed in her company profile. She hesitated, unsure whether to respond, and what to say if she did. Finally she typed, "Looking forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity." It was professional, safe, appropriate for a message to her boss's son, who was now also her project lead. Anna hit send before she could overthink it further. Almost immediately, 3 dots appeared indicating Daniel was typing a response. Anna waited, holding her breath. No need for formality. This is my personal number, not a company line. And thank you for your willingness to help with something that matters to me and Emma. It's rare to find people at Blackwood who see beyond the bottom line. Anna read the message twice, a smile tugging at her lips despite her lingering anxiety. There was something refreshing about Daniel's directness, his apparent disregard for the rigid corporate culture his father had created. She typed back, "In that case, you're welcome, and I'm honored to be part of it." As Anna boarded the subway, her phone buzzed once more. "Honored? See, still too formal. We'll work on that. Good night, Anna." She found herself laughing softly, drawing curious glances from other passengers. For someone who had spent 6 weeks trying to be invisible at Blackwood, Anna suddenly found herself very much seen by both the most feared and potentially the most interesting people in the company. Tomorrow would bring the first meeting of the special project team, a chance to prove herself certainly, but also a step into unknown territory. For the first time since starting her internship, Anna found herself looking forward to going to work. As the subway rattled through the dark tunnel, Anna allowed herself a small, private smile. Whatever happened next, at least it wouldn't be boring. Anna arrived at Suite 203 15 minutes early, her heart hammering against her ribs. The 20th floor was different from the rest of Blackwood Enterprises, warmer somehow, with wood paneling and soft lighting replacing the stark minimalism of the lower floors. She hesitated outside the frosted glass door, adjusting her blazer and taking a deep breath, Before she could knock, the door swung open. "You must be Anna!" The woman who greeted her was strikingly similar to Daniel, the same hazel eyes and easy smile, though her hair was darker. "I'm Emma Blackwood. I've been looking forward to meeting you." Emma's hands moved gracefully as she spoke, signing along with her words. "It's nice to meet you too," Anna replied, automatically signing back. Emma's face lit up. Daniel wasn't exaggerating. "Your signing is beautiful." "Thank you," Anna said, feeling her cheeks warm. "I'm a little rusty, though." "Trust me, you're doing great." Emma led her into a bright conference room where 4 people were already seated around an oval table. "Everyone, this is Anna Martinez, our marketing intern extraordinaire." Anna smiled awkwardly at the introduction as Emma continued. "Anna, meet the team. Priya from product development, James from digital design, Luis from community outreach, and Morgan from legal." Each person nodded or waved as they were introduced. Anna took the empty seat beside Luis, a friendly-looking man with salt and pepper hair and a colorful bow tie. "First time working with the Blackwood siblings," Luis whispered as Emma arranged some materials at the head of the table. "Is it that obvious?" Anna whispered back. Luis chuckled. "Only to those of us who've been through it. Don't worry, they're nothing like their father. This is the fun floor." Before Anna could ask what he meant, Daniel strode in, carrying a tray of coffee cups. Unlike yesterday's formal attire, he was back to casual clothes, dark jeans and a navy button-down with the sleeves rolled up. "Sorry I'm late," he said, distributing the coffees. "Got caught in a meeting with the board." He placed a cup in front of Anna. "Latte with an extra shot, right?" Anna blinked in surprise. "How did you—" "I noticed yesterday," Daniel said with a shrug, as if remembering someone's coffee preference after one meeting was perfectly normal. Emma caught Anna's eye and raised an eyebrow, a small smile playing at her lips. "Let's get started," Daniel said, taking his place beside his sister. "As you all know, Blackwood has traditionally focused on a very narrow demographic. This initiative aims to change that, beginning with better outreach to the deaf community." For the next hour, the team discussed strategies for making Blackwood services more accessible. Emma, who worked as an advocate for disability rights outside the company, provided invaluable insights into the challenges faced by deaf consumers. Anna listened intently, occasionally jotting notes. When Daniel asked for input on social media approach, she hesitantly raised her hand. "Actually, I've been analyzing some data that might be relevant," she said, pulling up graphs on her tablet. "There's been a significant increase in engagement when companies use ASL interpreters in their video content, not just captions." The team leaned forward with interest as Anna explained her findings, growing more confident as she spoke. When she finished, Daniel was looking at her with undisguised approval. "That's exactly the kind of insight we need," he said. "Can you put together a proposal for implementing this across our platforms?" "Of course," Anna nodded, feeling a surge of pride. As the meeting concluded, Emma signed to Anna, "Would you have time for coffee later? I'd love to pick your brain about a few things." "Sure," Anna replied, both nervous and flattered by the request. Daniel caught the exchange and smiled. "Be careful, Anna. Once Emma starts picking your brain, you might find yourself roped into 3 more projects." Emma swatted her brother's arm. "Ignore him. He's just jealous because I found you first." Pretty sure I found Anna first," Daniel countered, his eyes meeting Anna's with a warmth that made her stomach flutter. "Actually," Anna said before she could stop herself, "I found Daniel. In the elevator, remember?" Emma's eyebrows shot up. "Oh? I haven't heard this story," Daniel laughed. "And you won't today. Anna and I have a follow-up meeting to discuss her social media proposal." "We do?" Anna asked, confused. "We do now," Daniel winked. "My office, 10 minutes?" As the room cleared, Luis patted Anna's shoulder. "Told you. The fun floor." Daniel's office was nothing like Anna had imagined. Instead of the sleek, impersonal space she expected, it was comfortably cluttered, books stacked on windowsills, a worn leather couch against one wall, and photographs everywhere. Sorry about the ambush, Daniel said, clearing papers from a chair. I thought you might want an escape from Emma's interrogation. She means well, but she can be intense. Sounds like a family trait, Anna said, then immediately regretted her boldness. To her relief, Daniel laughed. Fair point, please sit. Nana took the offered seat, noticing a photograph on Daniel's desk, him with his arm around Emma, both smiling widely on what looked like a hiking trail. You two are close, she observed. She's my best friend, Daniel said simply. Always has been. He leaned back in his chair. So, what did you really think of the meeting? Anna considered the question carefully. I think the project has incredible potential, but, Daniel prompted when she hesitated, but I'm not sure how it aligns with Blackwood's current direction. From what I've seen, accessibility isn't exactly a priority here. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. That's exactly why we need it, and why I need people who will be honest with me. He leaned forward. My father built this company on tradition and exclusivity. I want to build its future on inclusion and innovation. The passion in his voice was captivating. For a moment, Anna forgot she was speaking to her boss's son, forgot about the corporate hierarchy and her place at the bottom of it. That won't be easy, she said. Change rarely is, especially in established companies. Which is why I need allies, Daniel replied, his gaze steady on hers. People who share the vision. Before Anna could respond, Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and grimaced. I'm sorry, I have to take this. Board stuff. Anna stood quickly. Of course, I should get back to my regular work anyway. Anna, Daniel called as she reached the door. I meant what I said. I value your perspective. Don't hesitate to speak up, especially if you disagree with the direction things are going. Anna nodded, a strange mixture of emotions swirling within her. I'll remember that. Over the next 2 weeks, Anna fell into a new routine. Mornings with Marcus and the marketing team, afternoons with Daniel and Emma's special project group. The work was challenging and fulfilling in a way her regular internship duties weren't. She found herself looking forward to the project meetings, not just for the work, but for the people. Emma had become a quick friend, her directness and humor a refreshing change from the cautious interactions Anna was used to. Luis had taken Anna under his wing, offering gentle guidance and encouragement. Even Morgan from legal, initially intimidating with her sharp suits and sharper questions, had warmed up after Anna's presentation on accessibility regulations. And then there was Daniel. Their interactions remained professional, but with an undercurrent of something Anna couldn't quite name. He sought her opinion often, sometimes catching her eye across the conference table with a look that seemed to say, "What do you think of all this?" It was after one such meeting, as Anna was gathering her things, that Emma approached her. "A bunch of us are going for drinks at Riverside tonight," she said, signing as she spoke. "You should join us." Anna hesitated. "I don't know. I've got a paper due for my summer class and Daniel will be there," Emma added with a knowing smile. That doesn't factor into my decision," Anna stammered, feeling her face heat up. Emma laughed. "Of course not. But it might be a good opportunity to see him outside the office, get to know the real Daniel, not just the boss's son." Anna bit her lip. "I'm not sure that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because I'm an intern," Anna said, lowering her voice. "And he's a Blackwood. There are boundaries." Emma rolled her eyes. "Daniel doesn't care about any of that. Trust me, he values authenticity over hierarchy every time." She squeezed Anna's arm gently. "Just think about it. Riverside, 8 o'clock. Anna did think about it. All afternoon, through meetings and emails and data analysis, the invitation lurked in the back of her mind. By 6, she had decided not to go. By 7, she was standing in front of her closet, debating what to wear. "This is a bad idea," she told her reflection as she applied a touch of lipstick. "A very, very bad idea. Yet at 8:15, Anna found herself walking into Riverside, a trendy bar with exposed brick walls and Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling. She spotted the group immediately, Emma waving enthusiastically from a corner booth, Luis raising a glass in greeting, and Daniel, his back to the door, leaning in to hear something Morgan was saying. "You came!" Emma exclaimed as Anna approached, sliding over to make room. "I finished my paper early," Anna said, the lies slipping out easily. Daniel turned, his face lighting up when he saw her. "Anna, I didn't think you'd make it." "Neither did I," she admitted with a small smile. For the next few hours, Anna forgot about being an intern, forgot about professional boundaries and corporate hierarchies. The conversation flowed easily, punctuated by laughter and gentle teasing. Emma regaled them with stories from her advocacy work, while Luis shared hilarious tales from his 20 years at Blackwood. Anna found herself seated beside Daniel, acutely aware of his presence, the warmth of his arm, occasionally brushing hers, the rich sound of his laughter, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "So, how did you end up at Blackwood?" Morgan asked Anna during a lull in conversation. "Most of our interns come through the Ivy League pipeline." "A state university," Anna replied with a small shrug. "I wrote about 15 application essays and sent them to pretty much every company in the city. Blackwood was the only one that called me back." "Lucky for us," Daniel said quietly, his eyes meeting hers. As the night wore on, the group gradually dispersed. Morgan had an early flight, Luis needed to relieve his babysitter, and Emma was meeting friends for a late dinner. "And then there were two," Daniel said as they watched Emma leave. Anna glanced at her watch. "I should probably go too. It's getting late." "One more drink," Daniel suggested, "unless you have somewhere to be." The sensible answer was yes, she did have somewhere to be, home in bed, not prolonging what was surely an ill-advised evening with her project lead. Instead, Anna heard herself say, "One more sounds nice." They moved to the bar, the conversation shifting to more personal territory. Daniel told her about his years abroad, studying in Europe and traveling through Asia. Anna shared stories about her grandmother, how learning ASL had opened up a new world of connection during their final years together. "That's why I was signing in the elevator that day," Daniel explained, swirling the ice in his glass. "Emma was having trouble with her interpreter at a conference, and I was trying to help remotely." "You're really good at it," Anna said. "I assumed you were deaf because your signing is so natural." "I learned alongside Emma," Daniel said. "Our parents hired tutors, but they were always too focused on proper technique. Emma and I developed our own shorthand over the years." He smiled at the memory. "Drove our teachers crazy." "What was it like growing up as Richard Blackwood's son?" Anna asked, the question slipping out before she could stop it. "Sorry, that's probably too personal." Daniel considered the question for a moment. "Complicated," he finally said. "My father is intense. Everything was about excellence, about living up to the Blackwood name." He took a sip of his drink. "When Emma lost her hearing at 7, it changed things. Suddenly there was something in our lives he couldn't control, couldn't fix with money or influence." "Is that why you left? To get away from his influence?" "Partly," Daniel admitted. "But I also needed to find my own path, figure out who I was outside of his shadow." He glanced at her. "What about you? What made you choose marketing?" Anna laughed softly. "Nothing nearly as profound. I'm good with patterns, with understanding what makes people tick. Marketing seemed like a natural fit." She traced the rim of her glass. "Plus, my grandmother always said I had a gift for communication, even when words failed." "She was right," Daniel said, his voice warm. "You have a way of seeing beyond the surface." The compliment caught Anna off guard. "I don't know about that." "I do," Daniel said simply. "It's why I wanted you on the team." Their eyes met, and for a moment Anna forgot they were in a public place, forgot about all the reasons this connection was complicated and potentially problematic. All she could see was Daniel, not as a Blackwood, not as her superior, but as someone who somehow seemed to understand her. The moment was broken by the bartender announcing last call. Anna glanced at her watch, shocked to find it was nearly midnight. "I really should go," she said, gathering her purse. "I have an early class tomorrow." Daniel nodded, signaling for the check. "I'll walk you out." Outside, the summer night was warm and humid, the streets still bustling with life. They stood awkwardly on the sidewalk, the easy conversation of moments ago suddenly replaced by a charged silence. "Thank you for inviting me tonight," Anna said finally. "I had a really nice time." "I'm glad you came," Daniel replied, his hands slipping into his pockets. "It was good to see you outside the office." Anna nodded, unsure what to say next. A taxi approached, and Daniel stepped to the curb to hail it. As the cab pulled up, Daniel opened the door for her. "See you tomorrow, Anna." "See you tomorrow," she echoed, sliding into the back seat. As the taxi pulled away, Anna looked back to see Daniel still standing on the sidewalk, watching her go. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Thank you for being the highlight of my day. Again." Anna smiled, typing back, "Thank you for making Blackwood a place I actually want to be." As the taxi navigated the late-night traffic, Anna leaned her head against the window, replaying the evening in her mind. Whatever was happening between her and Daniel, it was rapidly becoming something she couldn't ignore, something that both thrilled and terrified her in equal measure. Tomorrow would bring new complications, new considerations, but for tonight, Anna allowed herself to simply enjoy the warmth that had taken up residence in her chest, the feeling of being seen and appreciated for exactly who she was. "This isn't what we agreed on." Daniel's voice carried through the closed door of the conference room, sharp with frustration. Anna froze in the hallway, coffee cups balanced in her hands. She'd volunteered to grab drinks before the special project meeting, but now found herself accidentally eavesdropping on what was clearly a heated conversation. "The board has concerns," Richard Blackwood's unmistakable baritone replied. "Your initiative has merit, Daniel, but the timeline and scope need adjustment." "You mean reduction?" Daniel countered. "This isn't about concerns, it's about control." Anna shifted uncomfortably, knowing she should walk away. Instead, she found herself rooted to the spot. "This company has thrived for 30 years under my leadership," Richard said, his voice cooling dangerously. "I've indulged your progressive ideas because I believe in your potential. But do not mistake my accommodation for surrender of authority." "Of course not, Father," Daniel replied, his tone suddenly formal. "Heaven forbid anyone challenge the great Richard Blackwood's vision." The sudden silence that followed was deafening. Then, footsteps approached the door. Anna barely had time to step back before it swung open, revealing Richard Blackwood in all his intimidating glory. His eyes flickered briefly to Anna, a flash of recognition crossing his features before his expression hardened again. Without a word, he strode past her toward the elevators. Daniel appeared in the doorway seconds later, running a hand through his hair in frustration. When he spotted Anna, his demeanor softened immediately. "How much of that did you hear?" he asked with a wry smile. Anna hesitated, enough to know the meeting might need something stronger than coffee. Daniel laughed, though it didn't reach his eyes. "Perceptive as always." He took one of the cups from her hands, their fingers brushing momentarily. "Come on in. The others will be here soon." Inside the conference room, Daniel paced by the windows. "My father has decided our project needs refining," he explained, making air quotes. "Apparently, comprehensive accessibility initiatives are too ambitious for Blackwood's first foray into inclusive marketing." "What does that mean for us?" Anna asked cautiously. Daniel sighed. "It means scaling back, focusing on one or two high-visibility changes rather than the systematic approach we planned." He turned to face her, his expression determined. "But I'm not giving up. I just need to find another way forward." Before Anna could respond, the door opened and Emma entered, immediately sensing the tension. "What happened?" "Dad happened," Daniel replied grimly. Emma's face fell. "Again? I thought he approved this project." "He approved a project," Daniel corrected. Just not the one we designed. The rest of the team arrived, and Daniel briefed everyone on the board's suggestions. The mood in the room deflated as they realized weeks of work would need to be revised. "So we're back to square one?" Morgan asked, flipping her legal pad closed in frustration. "Not exactly," Anna said quietly. All eyes turned to her. "We've done the research, identified the needs. Maybe we can present a phased approach. Start with high-impact initiatives that align with current brand strategy, then expand once we've proven the concept." Daniel's expression brightened. "That could work, if we frame it as an evolution rather than a revolution." "The board might be more receptive," Louis finished, nodding enthusiastically. For the next hour, the team restructured their proposal, with Anna taking the lead on integration with existing marketing campaigns. By the end of the meeting, a new strategy had emerged, one that respected the board's concerns while preserving the heart of the initiative. "Anna, can you stay a moment?" Daniel asked as the others filed out. When they were alone, Daniel perched on the edge of the conference table. "Thank you for that. You saved the project." Anna shook her head. "I just suggested a compromise." "A brilliant compromise," Daniel corrected. "You understand both sides, the corporate reality and the human need. It's rare to find someone who can bridge those worlds." His praise warmed her, despite her efforts to maintain professional distance. Since their evening at Riverside 2 weeks ago, Anna had been careful to keep their interactions focused on work. It was safer that way, less complicated. Daniel seemed to sense her withdrawal. "Are you free for dinner tonight, to continue working on the presentation for the board?" Anna knew she should decline. Meeting outside the office blurred the lines she was trying to maintain, yet the earnestness in his expression made refusal difficult. "I could do early dinner," she compromised. "I have class at 8. "Perfect," Daniel smiled. "The Italian place on 5th, 6 o'clock?" Anna nodded, already questioning her decision. "I'll be there." The restaurant was small and intimate, with white tablecloths and flickering candles. Anna immediately felt underdressed in her office attire, but Daniel, also still in work clothes, greeted her with such natural warmth that her discomfort quickly faded. "I ordered wine," he said as she sat down. "Hope that's okay? As long as it doesn't put me to sleep before class." Anna smiled. Their conversation began with work, refining points for the board presentation, strategizing responses to potential objections. But as their meals arrived, it drifted to more personal territory. "So why marketing?" Daniel asked, twirling pasta onto his fork. "What drew you to it?" Anna considered the question. "Honestly, I like understanding what motivates people, why they make the choices they do." She took a sip of wine. "Marketing is psychology in action." "That explains why you're so good at it," Daniel observed. "You see past what people say to what they actually need." "What about you?" Anna asked. "Why come back to Blackwood? From what you've said about your father, it can't have been an easy decision." Daniel's expression grew thoughtful. "Blackwood was always supposed to be my future, my birthright, as my father never tired of reminding me." He set down his fork. "When I left, it was to escape that predetermined path. But the longer I stayed away, the more I realized that running from Blackwood meant letting my father's vision stand unchallenged." "So you came back to change it," Anna said softly. "To try," Daniel corrected. "Some days I'm not sure if I'm making progress or just playing into his hands." He looked up at her, vulnerability clear in his eyes. "That's why projects like this, and people like you, matter so much. You remind me why I'm fighting." The intensity of his gaze made Anna's heart race. She looked away, conscious of how easily she could fall into the gravity of his presence. "Your 6-month internship ends soon, doesn't it?" Daniel asked, changing the subject. Anna nodded. 3 more weeks. Have you thought about what comes next?" "Finishing my degree," Anna replied. "Beyond that," she shrugged. "I guess I assumed I'd apply for jobs, hope someone takes a chance on me." "What if you didn't have to look elsewhere?" Daniel suggested carefully. "What if there was a place for you at Blackwood, on my team, permanently?" Anna stared at him, caught off guard. "You're offering me a job?" "Tentatively," Daniel said. "I'd need board approval for a new position, but with the progress we're making on the accessibility initiative, I think I could make a compelling case." Anna's mind raced. A real job at Blackwood, straight out of her internship, was beyond her wildest expectations, yet she couldn't help wondering if the offer was entirely professional. "Would you be making this offer to any intern who contributed to the project?" she asked directly. Daniel held her gaze. "No," he admitted, "I wouldn't." The honesty of his answer hung between them, acknowledging what neither had put into words, the connection that had been building since that first elevator ride. "Daniel, You don't need to answer now," he interrupted gently. "Just think about it. The position would be based on merit, your skills, your contributions, nothing else." Anna nodded, grateful for the reprieve. "Thank you. I will think about it." As they finished dinner, the conversation returned to safer ground. Daniel insisted on paying the bill. Company expense, we were discussing business, and walked her outside to hail a taxi. Standing on the sidewalk, the summer evening warm around them, Anna felt the weight of unspoken words. "Thank you for dinner," she said, "and for the opportunity, all of them." "Thank you for saving our project today," Daniel replied, "and for being honest with me, always." A taxi pulled up, and Anna moved toward it. Daniel caught her hand gently. "Anna." She turned back, her pulse quickening at his touch. "Whatever you decide about the position," he said quietly, "I want you to know that meeting you, that first day in the elevator, was the best thing that's happened to me since coming back to Blackwood." Before Anna could respond, a sleek, black town car pulled up behind them. The window rolled down to reveal Richard Blackwood, his expression unreadable as he surveyed the scene, his son still holding Anna's hand on a darkened street corner. "Daniel," Richard called, his voice carrying easily. "A word, if you have a moment." The interruption shattered the intimacy of the moment. Daniel released Anna's hand, his expression clouding. "You should get to class," he said quietly. "I'll see you tomorrow." Anna nodded, sliding into the waiting taxi. As it pulled away, she watched through the rear window as Daniel approached his father's car, shoulders squared as if preparing for battle. Her phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Emergency project meeting tomorrow, 8 a.m. Dad's making moves. Daniel needs all hands on deck." Anna stared at the message, a sinking feeling in her stomach. Whatever was happening between her and Daniel, whatever might have been about to happen, had just become infinitely more complicated. As her taxi navigated through the city streets toward her evening class, Anna couldn't shake the image of Richard Blackwood's cold, assessing gaze. He had seen something in that moment between her and Daniel, something that Anna suspected he considered a threat to his carefully ordered world. And Richard Blackwood, by all accounts, did not tolerate threats. The tension in the conference room was palpable as Anna slipped in at 7:55 the next morning. Daniel stood at the whiteboard, deep in conversation with Emma, while the rest of the team huddled around laptops and coffee cups. "What happened?" Anna whispered to Luis as she took her seat. "Board meeting got moved up," Luis replied quietly. "We present tomorrow, instead of next week. Word is Richard's trying to force a rushed presentation so he can shelve the project." Before Anna could respond, Daniel called the meeting to order. "I'll cut to the chase," he said, his voice tight with controlled frustration. "My father has accelerated our timeline, claiming sudden interest from potential partners who want to see our accessibility initiatives." "But we're not ready," Priya protested. "The revised approach needs at least another week of development." "Which is exactly why he did it," Emma said bluntly, signing as she spoke. "Classic Richard Blackwood move. Set you up to fail, then use the failure to justify his original position." Daniel nodded grimly. "We have 24 hours to pull together a presentation that will convince the board this project deserves full support and resources." "Is that even possible?" Morgan asked, ever the pragmatist. "It has to be," Daniel replied, his gaze finding Anna's across the table. I won't let this project die because of corporate politics. For the next 3 hours, they restructured their entire approach, focusing on data that showed the market potential and competitive advantage of inclusive design. Anna worked frantically on a visual presentation that would communicate their message clearly and persuasively, even to the most skeptical board members. When the team broke for lunch, Daniel pulled her aside. "Are you okay? You've been quiet." Anna hesitated. What she wanted to say about last night, about his father's obvious disapproval, about her confusion regarding his job offer, wasn't appropriate for the current crisis. "Just focused," she replied instead. "This project matters. I want to help make it work." Daniel studied her face, clearly sensing there was more. "About last night, we should get back to work," Anna interrupted gently. "The presentation won't build itself." Something like disappointment flickered across his features, but he nodded. "You're right. But Anna, we will talk when this is over." The afternoon blurred into evening as they refined their approach. By 8 p.m., they had a solid draft of the presentation, with Anna's social media framework as its centerpiece. "Everyone get some rest," Daniel finally announced. "We reconvene at 7 tomorrow to finalize before the 9 a.m. board meeting." As the team gathered their things, Emma approached Anna. "Walk out with me?" In the elevator, Emma waited until they were alone before speaking. "You should know my father asked about you this morning." Anna's stomach dropped. What did he want to know? "Your background, qualifications, how you came to be on the project." Emma watched Anna's reaction carefully. "He also mentioned seeing you and Daniel together last night." Anna's cheeks burned. "It was a work dinner. We were discussing the presentation." Emma's expression softened. "Anna, you don't have to explain yourself to me. But my father," she sighed. "Richard Blackwood has very specific ideas about appropriate relationships within the company and about who's suitable for his son." "There's no relationship," Anna protested weakly. Emma gave her a knowing look. "Maybe not officially, but I've known my brother all my life. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." The elevator reached the lobby, and they stepped out together. "Just be careful," Emma advised, squeezing Anna's arm gently. "My father can make things very difficult when he wants to." Anna barely slept that night, Emma's warning mixing with thoughts of Daniel and the looming presentation. When her alarm blared at 5:30, she gave up on rest altogether and headed to the office early to finalize her portion of the slides. She was surprised to find Daniel already there, suit jacket draped over a chair, shirt sleeves rolled up as he revised content on his laptop. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked without looking up. "Too much on my mind," Anna admitted, setting down her bag. They worked in companionable silence for nearly an hour before Daniel spoke again. "My father called me into his office yesterday after he saw us together." His voice was carefully neutral. "He had some concerns about your involvement in the project." Anna's hand stilled over her keyboard. "What kind of concerns?" "The usual Richard Blackwood variety, questioning your experience, your qualifications." Daniel finally looked at her, his expression troubled. "He implied I might have personal reasons for including you on the team." "And do you?" Anna asked quietly, her heart hammering. Daniel held her gaze. "Yes," he admitted, "but not the way he thinks, not as some kind of favoritism or distraction." He stood, moving to lean against the desk beside her. "I included you because you're brilliant at what you do, because you understand what we're trying to accomplish in a way no one else does." "But there is something else," Anna said, not a question. "Yes," Daniel replied simply. "There is, and we both know it." The honesty of his answer hung between them, both terrifying and exhilarating. Before Anna could respond, the door opened as Emma and the rest of the team arrived. The moment broken, they returned to preparation mode, running through the presentation twice before heading to the boardroom. The Blackwood Enterprises boardroom was intimidating, all dark wood and leather, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 12 men and women in expensive suits sat around the massive table, Richard Blackwood at its head like a monarch holding court. Daniel began the presentation confidently, outlining the market opportunity and competitive landscape. Emma followed with personal testimonials from focus groups, her passion evident as she signed alongside her speech. When Anna's turn came, she stepped forward, momentarily freezing as she felt Richard Blackwood's penetrating gaze. Taking a deep breath, she launched into her segment on social media strategy and engagement metrics. Our research shows that brands embracing genuine inclusivity see engagement increases of over 40%, she explained, advancing through her carefully designed slides. This isn't just about compliance or corporate social responsibility. It's about connecting with underserved markets that represent billions in untapped revenue. She continued with case studies and implementation strategies, growing more confident as she spoke. When she finished, several board members were nodding appreciatively. As the team wrapped up their presentation, Richard Blackwood remained impassive, his expression revealing nothing. When they finished, he tapped his pen against the table thoughtfully. "Impressive work," he finally said, surprising everyone, particularly the market analysis and engagement strategy. His eyes flicked briefly to Anna. "However, I remain concerned about resource allocation and timeline feasibility." What followed was 30 minutes of pointed questions, with Richard challenging every assumption and projection. Daniel fielded most inquiries with calm confidence, occasionally deferring to team members for specific details. When the board began deliberating, the team was asked to wait outside. They gathered in a small conference room, the tension palpable as minutes stretched into an hour. "This is taking too long," Emma fretted, pacing the room. "Either they love it or hate it, but this extended debate isn't a good sign." Daniel's phone buzzed with a message. "They're ready for us," he announced, his expression guarded. Back in the boardroom, Richard Blackwood remained standing as they entered. "After careful consideration," he began without preamble, "the board has decided to approve a pilot program for the Accessibility Initiative." A ripple of relief passed through the team, though Daniel remained cautious. "And the scope, timeline?" "Reduced from your proposal," Richard replied. 6 months instead of 12, focused exclusively on digital platforms and customer service interfaces. If the pilot demonstrates measurable returns, we'll consider expansion. It wasn't everything they'd asked for, but it was far more than they'd feared. As the meeting concluded, board members filed out, several stopping to congratulate Daniel and the team. Richard Blackwood remained behind, gesturing for Daniel to stay as well. Anna followed the others toward the door, but Richard's voice stopped her. "Ms. Martinez, a word, please." Anna froze, then turned back slowly. Emma shot her a concerned look before reluctantly leaving with the rest of the team. When the three of them were alone, Richard studied Anna with calculating eyes. "Your presentation was quite compelling," he said, "especially for someone so early in their career." "Thank you, sir," Anna replied cautiously. "Daniel tells me he's considering offering you a permanent position once your internship concludes." Richard's tone was conversational, but Anna wasn't fooled. A considerable opportunity for someone still completing their education. "I haven't made any decisions yet," Anna said carefully. Richard nodded, as if this confirmed something. "Wise. There are many factors to consider in such decisions." He glanced at his son, professional boundaries being paramount among them. Daniel's jaw tightened. "If you have something to say, father, say it directly." "Very well." Richard turned his full attention to Anna. "Ms. Martinez, I admire ambition. I respect talent. What I do not appreciate is the blurring of professional and personal interests, particularly when it compromises business objectives." "That's enough," Daniel snapped. "No, Daniel, it isn't," Richard countered coldly. "You've worked hard to establish credibility since returning. Do you really want to undermine that by creating the perception that your business decisions are influenced by personal attachments? There's nothing inappropriate happening here," Daniel insisted. Richard raised an eyebrow. Then you deny any personal interest in Ms. Martinez? The question hung in the air, a trap with no safe answer. If Daniel denied it, he would be lying, something Anna realized she didn't want him to do, even to protect her. If he admitted it, he would be confirming his father's accusations. Before Daniel could respond, Anna straightened her shoulders and spoke. "Mr. Blackwood," she said, her voice steadier than she felt, "I understand your concerns, but I was selected for this team based on my work, not any personal connection." She met his gaze directly. "The results speak for themselves. The board approved our project because it makes business sense, not because of any relationship between team members." Richard studied her with new interest. "Bold," he remarked. "Most interns wouldn't dare speak so directly to the CEO. Most interns haven't had their professionalism questioned because of someone else's assumptions," Anna replied, surprising herself with her candor. For a moment, Richard's expression was unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, a small smile tugged at his lips. "Fair point," he conceded. "Perhaps I've been hasty in my assessment." He gathered his papers from the table. "The project has been approved. How you manage your team is your concern, Daniel, as long as results remain the priority." With that, he strode from the room, leaving Anna and Daniel in stunned silence. "Did that just happen?" Anna finally asked. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "I think you just impressed Richard Blackwood. Few people manage that." "I didn't mean to be disrespectful," Anna said, suddenly worried. "You weren't," Daniel assured her, a smile spreading across his face. "You were honest, direct, unintimidated." He stepped closer. "You were exactly who you are, and that's why he respected what you said." They stood in the empty boardroom, the weight of the morning's events settling around them. Their project had been approved, a significant victory despite the compromises. "Anna," Daniel said softly, "about what my father implied, we should celebrate with the team." Anna interrupted, not ready for that conversation. "They're probably waiting for us." Daniel nodded, though disappointment flickered across his features. "Of course." As they left the boardroom, Daniel lightly touched her elbow. "But we will talk, Anna. Soon. There are things I need to say." Anna nodded, her heart racing as she followed him down the hall, where Emma and the others waited with anxious expressions and hopeful eyes, unaware of the personal drama that had just unfolded behind closed doors. As they shared the news of the board's approval, Anna found herself watching Daniel, his animated expressions as he detailed their victory, the way his eyes sought hers across the circle of celebrating colleagues. Despite her attempts to maintain professional distance, despite her concerns about power imbalances and Richard Blackwood's disapproval, Anna could no longer deny the truth. She was falling for Daniel Blackwood, complications and all. And based on the way he looked at her when no one else was watching, she wasn't falling alone. 2 weeks after the board presentation, Anna sat at her desk in the marketing department, packing the few personal items she'd accumulated during her internship. Today marked her final day at Blackwood Enterprises, at least as an intern. The offer letter for a permanent position sat in her email unopened. Daniel had sent it yesterday with a simple message: "No pressure. Whatever you decide, I respect your choice." She hadn't responded yet. Not because she didn't want the job. The opportunity was beyond anything she'd hoped for, but because accepting it would mean addressing the unspoken thing between her and Daniel. The connection they'd both acknowledged but never fully discussed. All packed up, Zoe appeared beside her desk, eyeing the small box of belongings. "Almost," Anna replied, tucking away her favorite pen. "So," Zoe pressed, "is it true? Did you really get offered a permanent position on Daniel Blackwood's special projects team?" Word traveled fast at Blackwood. "The offer's on the table," Anna confirmed. "And are you taking it?" Anna shrugged noncommittally. "Still deciding." Zoe looked at her incredulously. "What's to decide? It's a dream opportunity." "It's complicated," Anna said, not wanting to elaborate. "Because of your thing with Daniel?" Zoe asked bluntly. Anna's head snapped up. "There's no thing with Daniel." Zoe rolled her eyes. "Please." Everyone's seen how you two look at each other. The whole office is talking about it. Anna's heart sank. This was exactly what she'd feared, her professional accomplishments overshadowed by rumors of favoritism or worse. "There's nothing to talk about," she insisted, closing her box with finality. "We worked on a project together, that's all." "If you say so," Zoe replied, clearly unconvinced. "Anyway, a bunch of us are going for goodbye drinks tonight. You should come." Anna nodded absently, already thinking about the conversation she needed to have before leaving Blackwood. "I'll try." The 20th floor was quiet when Anna stepped off the elevator. Most of the special projects team had already left for the weekend, but light spilled from beneath Daniel's office door. Anna knocked softly. "Come in," Daniel called. He looked up from his laptop, his face brightening when he saw her. "Anna, I wasn't sure I'd see you before you left. I wanted to say goodbye properly," she said, remaining near the door. "And thank you for everything." Daniel closed his laptop. "Have you thought about the offer?" "That's actually what I wanted to talk about." Anna moved further into the office. "I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm concerned about perceptions." "Perceptions," Daniel repeated. "Office gossip," Anna clarified. "Apparently, everyone is talking about us, about some supposed relationship between us. If I take this job, it'll only fuel those rumors." Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I was afraid of that." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Please, sit." Anna sat, folding her hands in her lap to keep them from fidgeting. "I won't pretend there's nothing between us," Daniel said directly. "We both know that would be a lie. But I also won't pressure you into a position that makes you uncomfortable, personally or professionally." "It's not that I don't." Anna paused, struggling to articulate her feelings. "The past 3 months have been incredible. Working with you, with the team, I've learned so much, contributed to something meaningful. I don't want that overshadowed by speculation about why I was hired." Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "What if there was another option, a position that wouldn't report directly to me?" Anna tilted her head questioningly. "Emma is establishing a dedicated accessibility division," Daniel explained. "After our presentation, several board members expressed interest in expanding our initiatives beyond the initial pilot. She needs a marketing specialist who understands both the business case and the human impact." "Working for Emma?" Anna considered the idea. "Technically working with Emma," Daniel corrected, "as a co-lead on marketing strategy. You'd report to Luis, not to me or Emma directly. Complete professional separation." It was an elegant solution, a role that recognized her abilities while eliminating the appearance of impropriety. "I'd need to think about it," Anna said, though the prospect already excited her. "Of course." Daniel hesitated, then rose from his desk. "But before you go, there's something I need to say. Something I've wanted to tell you since that first day in the elevator." He moved around the desk, leaning against it directly in front of her chair. Instead of speaking, however, he raised his hands and began to sign. "From the moment you signed to me," his hands expressed, "you saw me as just Daniel. Not a Blackwood, not the CEO's son, just me." Anna watched his hands move, emotion tightening her throat. "These past months working with you," he continued signing, "have shown me what's possible when you find someone who shares not just your language, but your vision. Someone who challenges you to be better, braver." He paused, his hands hovering for a moment before continuing. "I understand if you need to decline the position. I understand if you want to keep things professional. But I would regret not telling you how I feel. That meeting you has changed everything for me." Tears pricked at Anna's eyes as his hands formed the final words. "Whatever you decide about the job, I hope you'll consider giving us a chance to explore what might be possible between us outside these walls." When he finished signing, the office was silent, except for the soft hum of air conditioning. Anna sat motionless. Daniel's words, his signed confession, surrounding her like an embrace. Slowly, she stood, her hands rising to respond. "I've spent my entire internship trying to be invisible," she signed back, "trying to blend in, avoid attention, play it safe. She stepped closer to him, her movements becoming more fluid as emotion guided her hands. Then you saw me, not just noticed me, truly saw me. And instead of hiding, I found myself wanting to be seen. Her hands shaped each word with care. I've been afraid of rumors, of favoritism, accusations, of risking everything I've worked for. Daniel watched her intently, giving her the space to express herself fully in the language that had first connected them. But I'm more afraid of walking away from something that feels. Her hands paused, searching for the right sign. Real, rare, worth fighting for. Daniel's expression softened, hope lighting his features. Does that mean? Anna didn't let him finish. She closed the distance between them and kissed him, softly, briefly, but with unmistakable intent. When she pulled back, Daniel looked momentarily stunned, then broke into a radiant smile. I've been wanting to do that since Riverside, Anna admitted, speaking aloud now. I've been wanting you to do that since the elevator, Daniel replied, his voice warm with affection. Anna laughed, the tension of the past weeks dissolving. So what now? Now, Daniel said, taking her hand in his. We figure it out together. Starting with dinner tonight, away from Blackwood, away from work, just us. I'd like that, Anna nodded. But first, she released his hand and stepped back, reaching into her pocket for her phone. Opening her email, she found the job offer and clicked reply. As Daniel watched, she typed a simple message. I accept the position in the accessibility division, reporting to Luis Ortiz. Thank you for the opportunity. She hit send, then looked up at Daniel with a smile. There. Professional decision made, based on the merits of the position and my qualifications. Very professional, Daniel agreed, his eyes crinkling with amusement. Which means, Anna continued, moving back toward him, that this, she gestured between them, can be personal, completely separate from work. Daniel's smile widened. I like how you think, Ms. Martinez. I thought you might, Mr. Blackwood. A knock at the door interrupted them. They stepped apart reflexively as Emma entered, signing rapidly. Sorry to barge in, but... She stopped, looking between them with raised eyebrows. Am I interrupting something? Yes, Daniel signed back with a grin. But it's okay, Emma smirked knowingly. Finally, she turned to Anna. Did he tell you about the position? Anna nodded. I just accepted it. Perfect. Emma clapped her hands together. We start Monday with a meeting with the integration team. Oh, and Dad wants to sit in. Anna's eyes widened in alarm, but Emma waved away her concern. Don't worry. He's actually impressed with the preliminary numbers from our pilot, and after you stood up to him in the boardroom. Emma shook her head in admiration. I think you might be the first intern in Blackwood history who's earned Richard Blackwood's respect. Still terrifying, Anna muttered. Always, Emma agreed cheerfully. But you'll have me there. And this guy, she nudged her brother, though he's less intimidating since I know all his embarrassing childhood stories. Daniel groaned. Please don't. Emma's eyes twinkled mischievously. No promises. She headed back to the door. I'll let you two finish, whatever this is. Anna, welcome to the team, officially. After Emma left, Daniel turned back to Anna with a rueful smile. So that's what you're signing up for. A meddling sister, an intimidating father, and a lot of meaningful work that won't always be easy. Sounds perfect, Anna replied, surprising herself with how much she meant it. Daniel reached for her hand, entwining their fingers. Dinner? I know a place where we can talk without the whole company watching. Anna squeezed his hand. Lead the way. 6 months later, Anna stood in the atrium of Blackwood Enterprises, watching as Richard Blackwood cut the ribbon on the company's new Accessibility Resource Center. Beside her, Emma bounced on her toes with excitement, while Daniel beamed with undisguised pride. What had begun as a special project was now a cornerstone of Blackwood's corporate identity. The pilot program had exceeded all projections, opening doors to markets the company had previously ignored. Richard, ever the pragmatist, had recognized the business opportunity and thrown his considerable influence behind expanding the initiative. As cameras flashed and reporters asked questions, Anna felt a warm hand slip into hers. Daniel stood beside her, out of the spotlight, as his father and sister handled the press. "Happy?" He signed discreetly with his free hand. Anna nodded, signing back with her own free hand. Beyond happy. Their relationship had flourished alongside the project, growing stronger as they navigated the challenges of dating while maintaining professional boundaries at work. They'd been careful, keeping their personal life separate from Blackwood, ensuring Anna's accomplishments were recognized on their own merits. Even Richard had gradually warmed to their relationship, especially after Anna's marketing strategy had attracted national attention for its innovative approach to inclusive design. "What are you thinking about?" Daniel asked as the crowd began to disperse. "Everything," Anna replied honestly. "How different my life is from what I imagined when I started that internship. How scared I was to be noticed. How grateful I am that you saw me anyway." Daniel smiled, the same warm smile that had first drawn her to him. "Best mistake I ever made, letting you think I was deaf." "It wasn't a mistake," Anna disagreed. "It was the beginning of our story." And as they walked together toward the celebration reception, Daniel stopped suddenly, turning to face her. "I love you," he signed, his movements small and private, just for her. Not just for what you've helped create here, but for who you are. The woman who wasn't afraid to speak up in any language. Anna's heart swelled. In the midst of Blackwood's imposing lobby, surrounded by colleagues and executives, she raised her hands and signed back the words she felt to her core. "I love you too, for seeing me when I was invisible, for hearing me even in silence." Around them, the business of Blackwood Enterprises continued, phones ringing, elevators dinging, executives rushing to meetings. But in their shared space, in the language that had first connected them, Anna and Daniel had found something precious and rare. A love that transcended words, that spoke through actions and understanding, that had begun with a simple misunderstanding and grown into something neither could have imagined. As they rejoined the celebration, their hands dropped but remained linked, a visible symbol of the connection that had started with signs of misunderstanding and blossomed into unmistakable signs of love. What did you think of the story? Share your opinion in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What was your score? Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to follow all our stories and have fun.